Hello. So right here I have a card. Obedience. Obedience. I'll put postcard and totem pole. So we know that in some cultures they have totem poles, and my son is actually studying a culture and they do totem poles. And what these totem poles represent was different area. Like when we're trying to reach certain levels, we have a pole to reach, and those poles can determine the distance. Even in, so I have some weathering going here. It's like the wind on a breezy day, snowy day. So if we could just put ourselves there, and even sometimes in different weathering, the people that would go out and they would have these poles and they would put them down in the ground, and then you would have your head down while the wind is blowing, but you would be holding on to that string, and they would go from pole to pole. But in this certain culture, these poles represented the estate, the community that was there, and on this land, the levels of it would have different animals or faces, and it would represent their culture and everything that the community had overcome. So if you was to come travel a distance and you would see that pole, you would know what they represented, and every level of transitioning within that nature of their environment and community, the levels that they had reached. And this is what we want travelers to see on our totem pole, is the resemblance and the figure of obedience. Within obedience, you see bed, and bed is a resting place. So there is a resting place in obedience. There's a resting place in obedience. 1 Samuel 15:22. Obedience to God is better than sacrifice. So even right here in the word, obedience to God is better than the sacrifice. And we know the sacrifice is Jesus. God is the obedience. And there's a resting place in obedience. And these totem poles within these indigenous people, and they're indigenous because they was the first inhabitants of the land, and as years went on, we would like to think as we evolutionized, we made things better. But in some areas in life, they tried to do away with certain cultures and how they practice their religion, but now they are able to bring it back and practice it and share with other cultures, and it's very relatable because we ourselves can be a totem pole. We have different things that we can represent, and there is symbols everywhere of animals and artifacts and everything else that we wear daily within sports and everything. That's why I said we can be a totem pole sometimes. Some of us are attracted to certain animals that we can relate to, and we choose to represent that within our temple, our grounds, our land. So yeah, my son is studying a tribe, and one of their main practices in remembrance of him was the totem pole. And it's just a post. And a lot of times, we over here in cold areas like Antarctica, I don't know, there's other cold places. I just can't think of them right now, but how they remember to get from place to place and actually where they were, they would count the distance between the pole or know how many poles to where they could get to where they was going, and then they would raise their head up and go, because certain weathers they would have to stay down and protect themselves and then hold on to the rope or however they had divided it out, or if they reached a certain pole they knew they were landmarks, and we just use that today. And that is a form of indigenous love. Those same ideas that was there from the inhabitants that first inherited the land, those same ideas are passed down through generations, and sometimes we add to them and make them better and use them all across the world. And also, I have a poetry here, and I had written this a while back, but I don't really want to say the date. We're just not even going to worry about the date that I had originally written it. But this one is titled Crowned. Crown a just man. Crown a just man. Just means upright or good. Now, I have different types of poetry that may flow out of me. This may rhyme, this may not. This may tell a story, it may not. I don't know really how it's going to go, but let's get into it. The title is Crown. Crown a just man. Just means upright or good. To my queen, today's winds are like those of falling leaves. Dancing, past path, implanting gravitational cast. Lane fast, sprouted bud, a oath of tree. Now fully leafed, perched alone, feeling of shalom. Branches await, the chastened milestone. In the joining of all, green, yellow, orange, brown, and colors of season fall. Graded, mate together in beauty, a work of nature fate, the breath that awaits, fresh air of autumn's wind, and earthy tones of nature attend. The fuss of falling leaves, a loud story of greed. Yes, that once bud of spout, growth to hang, visual to peace, provide that shade, harness the wind, breeze to not shed a leaf end. But no, now, the fallen. The ground of cold, stiff, bitter onion grass, footsteps a soft place to task. It calls from the ground, the soil of fall, bud of sprout, growth, leaf, fall, now. Grounded indeed, leaf lay, path its way. Those three leaves decided to dance today. Play the story of the fallen leaves, to live beneath the tree. Branch to get her, bunch to get her, forever, because man, she just keeps getting better. Crown a just man. Remember, give yourself your flowers.